ladies and gentlemen, Fauci, I'm going to show you this from the post-millennial, this tweet. Fauci says, I would prefer, and we all would prefer, that people would be voluntarily getting vaccinated. But if they're not going to do that, sometimes you got to do things that are unpopular, but clearly supersede individual choices. Sam, what do you think he's referring to?
Sorry, are you kidding me? I would prefer that that he would just go away. But sometimes I can't make that happen. It's the age-old tyrant. I would prefer that you went along willingly, but if you won't, then I will torture you until you do. So that's the plan. And I'm sorry, we live in the United States of America. Can somebody please show me where mandate appears in our Constitution or any of our founding documents?
Yeah. All right. Listen, let's just hear what Fauci. Let's hear what Fauci has to say for himself. Watch.
There's so much opposition now in Congress and across the states, even in Democratic states, Governor Whitmer in Michigan and other places. This is becoming just a political test, and the outlook is not at all a sure thing in the court system. Is there any thought of backing off of that and trying to avoid, all the outcry against it?
Yeah, but, Andrew, we really have to get people vaccinated. I mean, I understand, and we all understand, how people do not like to be told what to do. They want to make their own choice and their own free will. I get that, and I respect that. But these are unusual times, and you can't think only of yourself and your own personal opinion, but you've got to think about your communal responsibility to get yourself and your family, and indirectly then the community, protected. So I would prefer, and we all would prefer, that people would be voluntarily getting vaccinated. But if they're not going to do that, sometimes you've got to do things that are unpopular, but that clearly supersede individual choices and are directed predominantly at the communal good. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about requirements.
Communal good, Lance. Does this sound familiar to you? Has history kind of replayed this in the past?
Sure. And, we have to always remind ourselves, because they certainly won't tell us, the polio vaccine didn't need 4 boosters and an annual re-up. The chicken pox didn't have the same, it wasn't taken every year. The problem is Fauci keeps cloaking himself in science, but won't even address the arguments of the RNA vaccine developers like Dr. Malone. He won't engage the science on the problems and limitations of this supposed vaccine, which requires constant upgrades. And what do those upgrades do? What do those additional shots do? We don't have any history. We don't have any study of that yet. How does it affect children? But America's not going to change on this. Anyone who's persuadable has been persuaded. Those that are not persuadable will have to hear a vigorous, intelligent discussion, which Fauci and then his group up in Washington isn't providing. So the issue isn't going to change because he says everybody needs to do it for the collective good. That's the argument. By the way, it was climate change that was the collective good argument that Davos and the globalists were going to use till COVID hit. COVID became a gift because they could make that the collective good for a complete global restructuring of the global order under the health guise rather than climate.